What's going on, everybody? MLS fans, welcome to Full-Time MLS. My name is Randy. His name is Christian, and we are here to recap match day 1 of the 2026 MLS season. And first off, I got to say, Christian, it is good to have you back, my brother. We had Fabian Wrinkle join the show, and he was just an honor to have on. He filled your place, and he did it well. But welcome back. You're back on the show now.
Yeah, he did it well. He got me in first place, so I respect that.
Talking about the pick'em standings, yeah, and you can tell he's a guy who really loves the league, obviously, and he was great to bounce opinions off of, and hopefully we can have him back on the show someday with you on here with us. But first off, I gotta say, I gotta clap. What a weekend. What an opening weekend for the 2026 MLS season. We had so many fun games. It was really funny. Christian texted our group chat. We have a group chat it's basically our bros, and we're the only two who really pay attention to the MLS and soccer. And some of the things that they say is they get on to us about oh, soccer's boring, there's no scoring. And Christian was very quick to be like, we did not have a single 0-0 draw game this weekend, which is absolutely kind of crazy to say.
Well, I got tired of hearing it, because I feel like anyone who doesn't watch the game, that's their argument is, oh, it's always 0-0. But I don't feel like that ever happens in this. It does, but it rarely happens in this league because we do see an ample amount of scoring, which is why we're trying to push them to just give it a chance.
Yeah, if you still are, if you're tuning into the show to give MLS a try for the first time, first off, welcome. And secondly, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got so much good content coming out for you guys. And this is just a fun, fast-paced league. I always said that it felt like how college basketball is different than the NBA. That's how I feel MLS is different from the rest of the world. It's so chaotic, fast paced. You never have any idea what's going to happen. We're going to get into it later on in the show, but you have Inter Miami, who everyone is saying is the clear favorite. No one can compete with them. They get shut out, and not only shut out, they get dominated.
Not only that, but you have last year's first place versus last year's last place. And, complete opposite happened in that one too.
Yeah, it's a crazy league, and that's why it's my favorite. That's why we're into it so much. The other thing, Christian, is we talked about last week how week 1 of MLS is always weird. You get weird lineups. There's a lot of lethargic games where it takes teams forever to get going. I feel like this is the first match day 1 that I saw. We had some high scores. We had teams scoring 4 goals. We had teams that should have scored even more. Maybe that was just, them getting into a rhythm. If it was middle of the season, they would have scored more, would have been more clinical in the box. But overall, before we get into talking about what actually went on this weekend, from your point of view, how did you think match day 1 of MLS went?
I think we did see a lot of teams come out sluggish, but we also saw a lot of teams come out hot. And I think that's what caused a lot of early scoring in games, because you have to think, I think it was the Nashville game where there was 2 goals incredibly early in the first half. And then it kind of stagnated out as the game went along. Or even Orlando, right? Orlando gave up goals in the first half and then came out in the second half and honestly should have drew that game if they didn't take away the goal from Dorsey. And then I'm going to do a plug on the game so you guys go check out our vlog. But even in that game, the first half was very slow, and the second half came out with a whole bunch of opportunities. So I think that we still saw a sluggish first half in games, but then the second half came out hot and firing, which I think that a lot of times in the past, we've seen full games of sluggish in this league.
Yes, we do have to get to the trip that Christian and I went on. It was a super fun trip on Saturday. Really quick, I do want to remind you guys, if you enjoy our content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you get notified whenever we go live. If you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating. It really helps us get our brand new show out there to other fans so they can check us out as well. So we appreciate all your guys' support, but let's get into it. Christian, the big talking point, we had to create some plans to go out and have some fun on opening weekend. And I think this is like the third opening day game we've ever been to, but this was literally the opening game of the MLS weekend, kicking off at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. local time in St. Louis. We made the drive over, 4-hour drive, nearly 4-hour drive to get over to St. Louis and Energizer Park. We spent the entire day out there, getting there at like 10 in the morning and leaving at 5 in the afternoon. I remember we left here at like 7 a.m. and got back at like 9 p.m. So we were literally gone all day. Christian mentioned it. We have a vlog that uploaded earlier today for you guys. Go check that out. It's a really good vlog. Shows you the full game day experience. Christian and I always like to throw ourselves into, where the supporters hang out and really feel what it's like to be a fan of St. Louis and go through a normal game day experience. I got this hat right here. We also got a free a free flag, kind of like the Nottingham Forest one behind Christian there, that literally says opening day, St. Louis versus Charlotte FC, gives you the date. And so they were wonderful hosts for us. Just an incredible experience. Christian, I'll toss it over to you. What did you make of our time going to see this game?
Well, I want to start off with plugging the Shafly restaurant we went to, the bar, because the food was incredible.
Oh, so good.
And that's one thing I really like about going into new cities is trying out their local restaurants and be able to quickly find out where the supporters hang out pregame and be able to eat that food. Blessing. But to get into, the actual atmosphere and get in, I mean, it was a cold day, right? I mean, probably looking about 35, 40
You're
degrees.
saying that so modest, Christian. Put it out that we were freezing. Like we were literally dying.
The wind did not help at all. But I will say, I mean, everyone was friendly. We sat to a nice lad next to us in the stadium who was asking me questions about our podcast. I had a couple beers. We went to a couple bars. We got to see the freaking Clydesdales, like within close enough to touch. Like that was cool. To see them delivering the beer to each bar. I don't know if they do that every game, but that was a cool thing if they do. But yeah, I had a good time.
The one thing that I regret not doing, obviously, we didn't get the March for you guys. If you have checked out our vlog, we wish we got that. I wish I pet, however you say it. I wish I actually pet the Clydesdales because they had I think we could have, when we were standing, there was a moment we were standing right next to them. I think if we actually asked hey, are we allowed to pet? They had some handlers there that were letting people pet them.
Were they? I thought maybe they were standing there so that the drunk people didn't get too close to them.
They might have also been doing that. Look, Christian, like I said, he put it modest. It was freezing, but other than that, it was just cool seeing a stadium we've never seen. We saw two teams that we've never watched play in action for the first time in my life. I don't know if Christian's ever done this. We saw we sat right next to the opposing team's fan section, which was kind of cool. We got to see hear the Charlotte chants. We saw their opening day kind of experience that they put on. There was, I wouldn't call them fireworks or pyro. There was some smoke bombs that they had, some flamethrowers that they had for the opening day ceremonies. And it was really cool. And honestly, for everything we said, Christian, we said the environment or the kind of city around the stadium was not as good as Cincinnati or Columbus. And we said that maybe the stadium wasn't as good as Cincinnati's or Columbus, but if we're looking at it from a positive note, everything that they had right outside the stadium was kind of cool. They had a concert going on. We got to see the Energizer Bunny. Christian laughed right in front of his face when he fell. I should have got it on camera. I felt too bad. I was like, I'm not going to film this poor soul. They had dogs out for Purina, their sponsor. They had a bunch of games. They had a wheel you could spin where you could win some stuff as well. So overall, right outside the stadium, they had a lot going on for their first game of the season.
Yeah, I think a nice summer day in St. Louis would probably be a beautiful game to go to. I think it was a little cold, but like I said, at least they still had a lot of fans show up even though it was cold. So kudos to them.
Yeah, I would not take it back for anything. That was a super fun time. But Christian, we've got so many games to touch on. We're going to basically break down what went on, the biggest storylines from this opening weekend. First off, Christian, I got to bring up some stats that we had. We can kind of touch base on them really fast, and we've got some fun games for you guys coming up. If we look at the current Golden Boot record right now, standings. That's the word that was like eluding me. What'd you say?
The race.
Yeah, the race for the Golden Boot. I just lost my train of thought and my words completely went out the window. But we had a few people who scored braces. Julian Hall, Mooney, shockingly for San Jose. That was surprising. Pitar Musa, which Christian's going to be mad about because he took him out of his fantasy team. Santos for Houston got on the score sheet with 2, and then Sam Surridge, who is surprised that someone who was in the running last week already kicked off the 2026 season with the brace. Christian, out of all these names, who are you most shocked to see?
I mean, I feel like it's got to be Daniel Mooney, but Julian Hall also, because I don't think we really expect him to get the start. I think that the two at the top right there are kind of more surprising to me than the others. I think Musa and Surridge, you kind of expected to be in this race. And then Guilherme put in a really good game against Chicago.
Yeah, so we already, I didn't count up how many goals we had over the opening weekend, but there was a lot. There were a lot of games that were high scoring. Let's go ahead and get on the other side of the ball. Leading assists. Anders Dreyer, no surprise there. He is so involved in that San Diego attack. He didn't score this weekend, but in a game that they won 5-0, he got 2 assists. Jesus Ferreira for Seattle had a fantastic game last night against Colorado. Madrigal, everyone talks about Surridge, Mukhtar, and Espinoza, but Madrigal had a really good game as well coming on that left side. Pellegrino had a goal and 2 assists, and then Abu Ali for Columbus had an assist and a goal as well. Christian, anyone stand out for you here?
I mean, Anders Dreyer, you pretty much expect him to be top of the assist table, and he's right there after week 1. I want to give you your flowers on Madrigal because if you go back and check out our video, you were very big on him coming in, and like we said, coming in the World Cup season, if he continues to do this, he's going to find himself right in that Costa Rican team.
All right, continuing on here, leading shots. This one's not as big as obviously goals or assists. It doesn't mean as much, but it is a fun stat to look at. Denis Bouanga, everyone was watching that Saturday night showdown, LAFC, Miami. He was all over. Him and Son were all over Miami's defense. Becker, we actually saw him live. He looked really good as the new starting number 9 for St. Louis. Cade Cowell, I'm going to talk about him later on. He absolutely blew me away. Christian, I'm going to give you your flowers, because you said this is going to be a big season for Cade Cowell, and he looked absolutely flawless in their game against Orlando. And then Anders Dreyer finds himself not only assisting, but he had 5 shots against Montreal. And then Julian Hall, again, 2 goals, 5 shots on target. He could have had more. If you watch the highlights of that game, he could have had a hat trick, maybe 4 goals if everything goes his way. Christian, any notes on this?
Bouanga, I believe, won Man of the or King of the Week, or whatever they call it for the Apple MLS video. He was astonishing. But I do kind of want to break down 3 guys here that you can look into for fantasy moving forward who are on this list and didn't get a goal. You got Becker, Cowell, and Dreyer, all with 5 shots, didn't get a goal. So, I mean, that's kind of a sign moving forward that goals are to come.
And then finally, we got to give the goalkeepers their props here. Who had the most saves this weekend? Maxime Crepeau, for as rough as an opening day weekend as it was for Orlando against New York Red Bulls, Crepeau was the main reason they didn't lose this game by 5 or 6. He was having some incredible saves, obviously trying to possibly play his way into the World Cup. Kalina, we got to see him live. St. Louis was actually a team we weren't expecting when we went to really control the pace of the game. And even though they're the home team, like we expected Charlotte FC to be the much better team. And Kalina was really saving them for a lot of that game. Freese against LA Galaxy. He's looking to have a strong season for the World Cup. And then you have Kaladi for FC Dallas, and Cabral last night against Seattle really kept them in most of the game as well. Or not Seattle, excuse me. Against Vancouver, kept them in the game throughout the entire time. Christian, I know you're probably going to want to touch on these like World Cup hopefuls of Crepeau and Freese.
Yeah, I think Crepeau, I mean, if we were going based solely off week 1, I think he's the Canadian goalkeeper right now. I don't think Dane St. Clair really put in a test towards him because Crepeau played really well. Freese let the early goal in and then really tightened up the rest of the game. Kalina, though, I think moving forward could see take over this. I think Kalina looked really good.
Yeah, Kalina looked fantastic. Someone I'm definitely looking at possibly getting in my lineup, my fantasy lineup for week 2. Well, Christian, we have to kind of bounce around the league now, talk about these like huge headlines that happened this weekend, and we're going to do it by playing a little game here. We are going to name a few winners and losers of the weekend. So if you're not familiar with this concept, let me kind of break it down for you really fast. A winner is something that went well, or a team that did really great, or a player that did fantastic, something that impressed us, while a loser of the weekend is someone who just someone or a team or something that just went wrong and had a rough go of things. So we got to get through all of these. We got 3 winners and 3 losers apiece. Christian, who is your first winner of the weekend? Let's start on a positive note here.
Okay, I'm going to start with Los Angeles FC. I think this is a team that had their entire offseason critiqued, right? A lot of people were saying they didn't do enough. Denny Bwanga was, quote, out the door. He comes in, plays really well in week 1, and if they can continue to keep him through the rest of the season, you come out and you beat the defending champs 3-0. And not only that, but let's talk about that crowd. What was it, 75,000 people?
Second most in MLS history.
I just think this is a huge week for LAFC moving forward throughout the season.
Okay, let's talk about this game really fast. LAFC against Inter Miami. You talk about LAFC's offseason, but Inter Miami had everyone buzzing about the best offseason in possibly the history of the league. They're coming off an MLS Cup. So not only did they take a dominant MLS Cup winning team, they made it better by going out and signing Betarame, and make Mikel on the back line, bringing in Dane St. Clair, the reigning MLS goalkeeper of the year. So everyone going into this game predicted it to be a shootout. And look, LAFC, not only did they win and shut down Inter Miami 3-0, if you didn't watch this game, you would think, in front of the home crowd, they were able to get a good win. No, they dominated. I mean, Inter Miami looked lost. It was so bad that it looked like Messi went in the locker room of the referees after the game. That was catching some headlines. MLS came out and cleared Lionel Messi, saying that he didn't. Christian's going to have something to say about that. He didn't make it into the ref's locker room. It might be them protecting their golden boy for sure. But it was a scene of, you saw Luis Suarez holding Messi back, being like, no, but like he's literally trying to pull him out. It was not a good night for David Beckham's side. It was just Inter Miami had really nothing going for them. And Son and Bwanga, they looked absolutely out of this world. And if Martinez can build off of kind of a rough 2025, if he can improve in 2026, this front 3 is going to be like impossible to stop.
Here's the thing. We've seen in past people or players coming in the second half of the season, not playing to their full potential, but Son played really well last year, even in the 10 games he played. So, and then they come out the next season and they just look like stars. And I think that's what we're going to see with Son. I think we are seeing it. If Bwanga, one of these guys are going to be in the MVP race, if not both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. LAFC was my pick to win not only the CONCACAF Champions Cup, but also the league this year. I think a lot of people are looking at Miami, but I think Miami has a lot of guys who are going to be focusing on the World Cup instead. I mean, this game, it was just a mess for them, and hopefully they can bounce back next week. But I remember Rodrigo De Paul, he had like a bad giveaway that gave away one of the goals. Christian, you have nothing to say about Messi and the refs? Because you got screwed with Miazga was suspended 3 games for doing the same thing.
Miazga wasn't just suspended 3 games. He was suspended 3 of the biggest games of the year. And I get it. There's no video evidence of Messi actually walking into the locker room, but there's also no video evidence of Miazga walking into the locker room. I watched Messi get pulled as hard as he could to stay out of that room, and you just can't tell me he didn't walk in there. I think they're trying to protect him.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. But great win for LAFC. They start off their 2026 campaign as best as they could. I thought Marky Delgado was a former Galaxy man, but just was terrific in the midfield for them. Obviously, Hugo Lloris solidifying that back line. This team's going to be a contender all year long. Let me give you one of my winners of the weekend. I'm going to talk about the other huge front three. I know everyone's going to be like, Randy has been glazing these guys too hard. But Nashville dominate the New England Revolution, scoring 4 goals. They ended up winning that game 4-1 after Campana ended up getting a goal in that one. Surridge, 2 goals. Honey Mukhtar, a goal. I'm not even talking about Madrigal, who also got a goal, and I think he might have got an assist. Don't quote me on that. But, I mean, Christian Espinoza, great in the build-up play as well. We saw a goal they had. This was in the CONCACAF Champions Cup last week, but it was literally from each of their big guys. It was like Espinoza to Mukhtar to Surridge. It was just beautiful soccer. Christian, are you starting to come around on the hype that I'm giving Nashville SC so far?
I mean, I'm going to really touch on Nashville later in this video, but I think not even just adding Espinoza, but also Madrigal to this attack, it looks very scary.
Yeah, and we're not talking about a team that only has a good attack. That back line, I mean, Nader was fantastic last year. He's looking to have another impressive season this year. He looked to be one of the best right backs in this league. You have Jack Maher, who is great. And then they made a goalkeeper change, which I was not too happy about because I had Joe Willis in my fantasy team. I guess I didn't. I expected old Joe to make the start, and he didn't. But that team is rolling. Had an incredible week 1.
Also, I mean, when you're scoring 4 goals, it doesn't really matter how well your defense is playing because it's hard to keep up with that.
Yeah, this is a team also going to be competing all season long. I had them as my supporter shield winner. So we've talked about LAFC, who I think is going to win MLS Cup, and we've talked about Nashville now. Christian, who's your next winner of the weekend?
Let's switch it up then. Let's go with Ty Baribo. I think this is a guy who was playing his former team. They let him go, had 16 goals last year, got a goal this week, could have had multiple goals, one of them taken away. I think that this is a guy who you're going to see kind of – I think it took a 5-year deal to stay with DC United or go to DC United. So I think you're going to really see him cement himself in this attack, which is something DC really needed.
Yeah, I mean, Ty Baribo, you said it perfectly. Exactly what I was going to say was this guy could have had 3 goals. He hit the post. He had one taken back because he was offsides. And then that goal that he did have, it was like wonderful build-up play. I mean – Ty is someone that I expect to kind of be in the Golden Boot race all season. And he looked absolutely fantastic in his first game for DC United. Philadelphia looked – oh, go ahead.
I was just saying it's all in the buildup too, because if you watch the way these goals were built, I guess the one goal, but what these opportunities were built up with Pirani kind of sitting at midfields, like kind of sitting in that pocket and then passing it out to the open seams. The way this team looks so much better than they did last year.
Sean Johnson had a great game as well. You got to throw him out there. You know, someone bringing an experienced goalkeeper in. And, I mean, DC last year, they finished – they were the wooden spoon team. And so anything better than that would be an improvement. And this is a team hopefully that can climb in the Eastern Conference. In Philadelphia, you know, you look at the Supporter Shield winners of last year, this is a tough way to start off. And we're going to get to them a little bit more here in a little bit. But Ty Baribo, exactly what he was hoping for, you know, going up against your former team that didn't really want to pay you, and you go out and you get an impressive goal. Could have had more as well. All right, so my next winner of the weekend, I want to bring up Michael Bradley, a new manager to this league, leans on the youth for an impressive 2-1 win over Orlando City. Everyone were scratching their heads when he revealed the lineup. 3 players under the age of 17. And the big one was Julian Hall.
Under 18, sorry.
Oh, under 18. Thank you. The first one was Julian Hall starting over Choupo-Moting. You know, you have a European star. You decide to leave him on the bench. Everyone's wondering why Michael Bradley is doing this, but these are players that he used when he found success with the MLS Next program, puts them in. They immediately contribute to, I mean, this team was dominating Orlando City. It's another game from this past weekend where one team just looks outmatched. And New York Red Bulls could have scored 6-7 goals in this one. I'm not even joking. For the first 30, 40 minutes of the game, Orlando barely touched the ball, and they were on their back foot in Orlando, by the way. The New York Red Bulls were the away team, and Michael Bradley, later on in the show, we're going to do It's Just Week 1, but Michael Bradley looked absolutely incredible and could be one of the best managers in this league that we just don't know about yet.
Yeah, you touched on Julian Hall, who had the 2 goals, who's the theoretically star of the show, but I want to talk about the engine that really made this work, and that was Mehmeti. 16 years old, plays the same position as Michael Bradley, and he controlled the entire field. I think that he's going to be an absolute star.
All right, Christian, what is your last winner of the MLS Matchday 1 weekend?
Going to be a bit of a homer, and I'm going to go with the FC Cincinnati back line. Evander dropped out early in the game. And Cincinnati seemed to lose a little bit of that star power in the attack, and the defense really shined in this one. Miles Robinson really put a stake in for the World Cup roster. Obviously, Miazga out in this one, so Robinson really showed what he can do. Could have scored, got it saved off the line, and then you got Nick Haglund last year in the same exact matchup. Broken ribs, collapsed lung, comes out and scores the goal that really puts the dagger into Atlanta. You
lose Evander early on because of an injury, which we still haven't gotten any news about. Hopefully he ends up being okay.
It's a quad injury.
It's a quad injury. Same thing that Jordan Morris is dealing with, which we'll get to here in a minute as well. But to have your back line step up like that, Miles Robinson, the way he steps forward at times and kind of plays in that central defensive mid role, also not scared to kind of get up the field as well in an attacking position. This is a guy who has hope to make the World Cup roster and possibly try to squeeze into the starting lineup. And Nick Haglund, the hometown boy who's dealt with injuries, just that goal was terrific. Him rising up above everyone on that corner kick, being able to flick the ball with his head to the back of the net. Just absolutely incredible from these two. In a dominant win over Atlanta United, they ended up winning it 2-0. And Atlanta, Tata's got to kind of improve a little bit this season because they looked same old Atlanta that we've seen the last couple of years, just disoriented and for the star power they had, just not up to par. This was a perfect example of just Cincinnati being the much better team.
I also want to throw a bone to homegrown Valenzuela. I told you when he was coming onto the field, I said, I love this kid. He was great. He took all of our free kicks, was really good at creating opportunities. Obviously, he's not Evander, but if we have to be without Evander for a couple of weeks, I like that he is our replacement.
Yeah, I thought he did great in the midfield as well, kind of controlling the pace of the game. And that's so tough to do coming into a game and contributing right away, which is why I want to go on to my final winner of the weekend. And that is late last night. If you stayed up for this game, Paul Rothrock was terrific. Jordan Morris goes down in the first 7 minutes of the game. You hate to see it for a guy who's just dealt with injury. And I saw someone tweet last night that it's over for Jordan Morris. He called him I thought this was harsh, but the worst DP in the MLS because this is a guy who just can't stay on the field. Christian, don't shake your head.
I've been saying this. He's not a DP.
At his best, he can contribute and score a bunch of goals if he can just stay on the field.
He's a great supplemental player, but he's not. Senior roster player, but he is not a DP.
I think his time as a DP has definitely ended. Unfortunately, he's kind of like an Anthony Davis of the MLS. But Rothrock got called in the 7th minute. You're not expecting to play pretty much the full game. And he changed the game immediately. I want to go to that first goal that he had. It's one of the best goals that I saw from this entire weekend. And if I was casting a vote for goal of the weekend, I hope this is one of the goals that I can vote on because it was just incredible play. The ball gets, I believe it was from Jesus Ferreira. It gets lofted from the right side of the field to the left side. The pass was overdone a little bit. So Rothrock had to chase it down, barely keep it in bounds. He barely kind of backheeled it to keep it in play. And then he goes running into the advertisement boards on the side. You heard the clunk. And then he immediately he gets up, turns around. I believe it was like maybe one dribble and then cross the ball in for Albert Rusnak to perfectly head it in. It was just an incredible goal to start up the scoring for Seattle. And then not only did he assist that one, he gets the goal later on after a great ball in from Jesus Ferreira. Just a terrific game from Rothrock. And if you stick around, I know this is coming out today. It's Monday, February 23rd. Actually, this is coming out on Tuesday. My bad. No, we'll release it today. But this is coming out on Monday. But if you stick around and check out our podcast on Thursday coming up for our Match Day 2 preview, I'm going to have more to say on Paul Rothrock because I think he might be someone you need to be looking forward to get into your fantasy lineups. I think he's going to be a key contributor for Seattle going forward.
That assist had my jaw on the floor. If I could pick a play to sum up what CONCACAF and MLS is all about, I think that would be the one. Like just never giving up on the play and I think that's what sent it over for me. I was like, if I was a fan of this team, this Rothrock would immediately be my favorite player. He never gave up on the play, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, and it led to help them with a great 2-0 win over Colorado last night. Christian, now it's time we get kind of negative. We have to talk about losers of the weekend. Where do you want to go first here?
You touched on this team a little bit. I'm going to start with Choupo-Moting. I think, and moving forward, I don't really know where you go with this, right? You spend big bucks on the European star, comes over and had a solid season last year. And then he's now found himself on the bench to a guy who looks up to him in Julian Hall, who scores 2 goals. I think this is a loss for him because where do you go from here?
It was the worst possible weekend for Choupo-Moting. Not only do you get benched, you can kind of be like, okay, it's week 1. Let's see what the kid's got. But then you watch this kid go out and score 2 goals. That's the last thing you want to see. I'm sure he's happy for him, but at the same time, how do you put Choupo-Moting back in when the guy you played just had 2 goals and could have had more? He could have had a lot more this game as well. This will be an interesting thing to watch all season. I don't know if Michael Bradley plans on splitting time. Some games maybe he puts Choupo-Moting in. If he needs more size up front in the number 9 position, if he needs a little bit more speed, maybe he'll switch to Julian Hall. But if his strategy is to just play Julian Hall, Choupo-Moting, I find it hard to believe he's just going to be happy sitting on the bench this year and kind of watching Julian Hall in that starting spot with the money that he's making. I don't know. Maybe he won't care, but the only other thing that I could see happening is if Michael Bradley decides to run like a 2-striker system, but I don't see him changing his formation like that either. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, if Choupo-Moting remains on the bench, do we get to the summer and does Choupo-Moting ask out? Does he go, I'm not here to sit on the bench. I should be playing. Maybe he wants to go back to Europe or a country out there to try to get more playing time at his age. So it's going to be a weird thing to watch develop this year.
Also, they referenced this in the pre-show going in because they had talked to Michael Bradley about the changes he made, and they were like, what are you – they basically literally asked him, what are you doing? Like, you're starting 3 under 18 players in an MLS game. And they kind of referenced that Julian Hall is a better player that Choupo-Moting on creating a press. So I don't know, maybe this is something they look to do on the road to help them create opportunities early. Or, maybe this is something that they go, okay, Julian Hall, great showing. You showed what you can do, but we're going to put you back on the bench as a super sub and kind of move forward on that. I just don't see Choupo-Moting fully sitting on the bench, like you said, an entire season. So this is either something that in the summertime he's like, hey, I got to go. Like, this isn't going to work for me. Or they're going to kind of do what I'm saying and kind of, switch it around and depending on the matchup.
It's tough to be in the shoes of the manager here because it is like, what do? You have these 2 great players. It's going to be annoying for fantasy managers if they do decide to play like the hot hand, because you'll never be able to tell who's going to start. It'll probably be like right up until an hour before kickoff. This is who we have starting. So it's definitely going to be something to watch all season. I'm going to go to my favorite team. You're wearing the jersey of your favorite team. I can't wear the jersey of mine. I am disappointed in them. The LA Galaxy, not only did they draw I believe Honduras team in CONCACAF Champions Cup last week, a team that they should have just gone out and dominated, but they were lucky to get a draw. Then they start off their 2026 season opener. It looked fantastic. Within 2 minutes of the game, João Klaus scores his first goal. It looks like New York City FC's in for a long one. They don't have their leading striker, Alonso Martinez. This is a team that looks like they're going to struggle for goals. And even though they were able to get a goal, it came via a PK. So they still looked like they were struggling to find someone to put the ball in the back of the net. But for the Galaxy, you look like in the first 2 minutes, this is a rejuvenated Galaxy squad. They're going to go out. They're going to win this game. They're going to make a statement after having an awful year. And after that goal, it all went downhill. They looked lethargic throughout the game. They were dominated in possession at home by New York City FC, who were on the ball for the majority of the time. Garces does this, I still don't know if I would call it a penalty or not. It was weird. He went to the ground, but his arm was sweeping back towards him and tripped the NYCFC player, which sent them to the penalty line. That was his second yellow card of the game, meaning the Galaxy went down a man for the remainder, 30 minutes of this one. Just a sluggish and sloppy game. They never really looked like, outside of that opening goal, they never really looked to be on the front foot. I thought Marco Reus had a rough game in this one. He got he's so slow in the midfield. He got beat out multiple times. And I think that's what it comes down to for the Galaxy is this midfield is still, they're lacking creativity in the midfield. And Marco Reus hasn't been able to be that number 10 that you got from Ricky Puig in that midfield to kind of control the pace of the game. It was a rough one to watch. It was really rough to watch.
You hit exactly what I was going to say. At the beginning of that game, you guys looked dangerous, and Klaus put it in the back of the net off the header. But then I think it was a header, right? It was a header.
No, it wasn't a header. It was a shot right on goal. Okay. I think
it was a cross in, and then he tapped in.
Yeah.
But I think past that, Galaxy didn't look as dangerous as they started the game. And like you said, there's just not enough creativity, which could lead to a winner for you, because I think that it looks like you're about to be making a move for Coutinho, which could help with a little bit of creativity, but he kind of struggled in Brazil as well. But New York City FC, like you said, got the penalty. I think once they got that goal too, New York City looked to have almost gotten a second as well. So at least you didn't walk away with 0 points.
Yeah, we were lucky at home. We were lucky to get a 1 point out of this one. So the Galaxy got to figure something out. I mean, bringing Coutinho in, I like the idea of it. Former Liverpool guy. I know you said being a Liverpool fan, I should hate the man. But it's just, how much are you going to get out of Coutinho is the big question. I don't know if it's enough to fix this Galaxy squad. And this was a team that I predicted to do well last year, and they didn't. I predicted them to do well this year, and after the first game, it might be about the same. Christian, who's your next loser of the weekend?
We touched on this as well earlier, but I'm going to go with the Philadelphia Union. I think the Philadelphia Union last year won the Shield, and now they're coming out this year, and they play the team who won the Wooden Spoon, right? So you're thinking, oh, I know how this is going to go. Well, no, you don't, because they didn't get a goal, and obviously Sean Johnson in goal is going to be hard to score on anyways, but also their midfield kind of looked a little lethargic in this game. Again, it's week one, but I think the Philadelphia Union stock is definitely going down at this moment.
You lose Baribo, you lose Jacob Glesnes, and it creates an identity change. Philadelphia is going to have to go through and find who they are again. And this is a team every year. You look at their roster, and at least I'm always shocked to see them at the top of the Supporters Shield standings when you compare their roster to other rosters around this league. And maybe this is the year that they take a step back, because their roster doesn't seem to be the strongest. And you put it perfectly. It all starts in the midfield, I feel, a lot of times. And their midfield really struggled in this one. DC could have been up 3 goals in that first half. They were lucky to stay in the game. And for Philadelphia, they just struggled to find someone, much like New York City FC, to put the ball in the back of the net.
Absolutely.
All right. My next loser of the weekend, we kind of touched on them earlier, but I'm going Vancouver, who barely get by an injury-ravaged RSL team that was playing, for the most part, all their youngsters. They had, during the broadcast, they went through everyone out of the game, and RSL was missing like 6 to 8 players in this one. Played a lot of young guys. So, again, in this league, expect the unexpected. With Philadelphia and DC, you're like, oh, the Supporter Shield winners are facing the Wooden Spoon winners. This should be an easy win for Philadelphia. And now in this one, the reigning Western Conference champions are going up against our RSL team who have nobody. This should be an easy 3-0, 4-0 win. No, it wasn't that at all. And RSL had a goal called back, and they had several times that they almost got the ball in the back of the net. Net. Takioka looked kind of like the lights were too bright at times. Like there were many times that he just kind of fumbled the ball, almost leading to an RSL goal. So he looked kind of shaky at the back. And you expect more from a Whitecaps team who has championship aspirations this year. And not only did they struggle against this RSL team, they struggled in CONCACAF Champions Cup as well. So we're 2 games into their 2026 campaign, and they haven't shown to have the firepower that you expect with Thomas Mueller, Brian White. So it's going to be interesting to see. They have another easy matchup this coming weekend that I think they're going to win. But so far, I'm not overly impressed with Vancouver.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm very surprised to see this see a winning team as a loser. But like you said, RSL was missing a hefty amount of their lineup. A lot of them to awaiting visas, some of them to injuries. I'm assuming that'll probably be a similar thing coming in this week for RSL as well. But Vancouver got the win, so I don't necessarily see them as losers. But what I do see them as losers for, and if you are a Vancouver fan watching this, please listen and pay attention to how Columbus saved their crew, because a plain white banner with white and black letters is not enough. Look at the tifo that Columbus used in their first game to save their club. If you're going to try and save your club from moving, let's put a little bit more effort into it.
Taking a shot at the fans, Christian. What are you doing?
I just saw the video and I was like, you've had all offseason to plan this, and that's all you could come up with. I just think that Columbus set a precedent on how you're going to save your club, and that's just not enough for me.
Oh, man, we're trying to gain viewers here, and you're taking stabs at the fan base. I get what you're saying, and I never like to see a team or a club get moved and taken away from a fan base. Recently, we just saw it with hockey, the Arizona Coyotes moving to Utah, and you just hate to see that for a fan base. So hopefully they can get this figured out and keep their club around. But yeah,
I'm not taking shots. It's just constructive criticism here.
Yeah, we'll put it like that. Christian, who is your last loser of the weekend? I've been looking forward to hearing this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to the World Cup conversation, and I'm going with Matt Turner. Matt Turner gave up 4 goals. He did play decently, I'm not going to lie, but with 4 goals given up, it's just not going to be enough when you're talking about the guys who are in contention with him. I think Freese came out and gave up 1 goal. I think that if you're going to keep letting in goals, you're not going to see yourself on the World Cup roster, especially in the fact that he hasn't seen the team. He hasn't been on the starting goalkeeper for the national team for about a year now. I don't think he's done it at all under Pochettino. So I think that they're going to have to put in a little bit more effort to get into the starting team.
I mean, if you look at all the goalkeepers competing to start for the U.S. men's national team this summer, I think Horvath had the best weekend out of the 3 of them, between Ethan Horvath, Matt Turner, Freese. That's who I'm looking at. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think Horvath had an impressive game against Orlando City. He allowed 1 goal. Freese obviously allowed the goal against Klaus. And then, like you said, if you're looking at who had the worst weekend, Matt Turner letting in 4 goals was definitely tough to see, but hopefully they don't look too deep into it because, I mean, it is against one of the best clubs in MLS this season.
I mean, it's week 1, and you're having me pick my winners and losers from week 1, and I've only seen one game, so I'm going to base off what I've seen from that one game from every single player and every single team. And what I've seen from Matt Turner is not enough to be, playing goalkeeper for my country in the World Cup, especially when we're hosting.
No, I respect it. I mean, you said it. Your pick would be Matt Freese, right? This summer.
At the moment, I think I would go with Matt Freese, which also with Matt Freese, he was on the list of the most saves in the league this week. I mean, you had the first goal go through, but I mean, we're talking 2 minutes into the season, and he really stiffened up after that. So I'm not really worried about him conceding a goal. Whereas Horvath, I think, like you said, he conceded, and then I don't think that the Dorsey's goal should have been called back. I think that game should have ended 2-2. I think Horvath really allowed 2 goals in that game. I would go with Freese at the moment.
I can't argue. It's going to be a fun watch all the way until June to see who has, the better MLS season. These guys are playing for something. The stakes are high to get into the 2026 World Cup for the U.S. men's national team. My last loser of the weekend is an interesting one. It's Apple TV. Look, the coverage was great this weekend. We had a lot of entertaining games. Christian and I, on our way back from St. Louis, we were watching whatever they call it, MLS wraparound, or, it's kind of like the equivalent to NFL Red Zone where they kind of touch base on all the game. It's the in-studio show. But why are they my loser this weekend? Their 2 marquee matchups were terrible. LAFC versus Miami. Miami got absolutely dominated by LAFC. Sure, it's good for the league to be showing these stars, but it's certainly not what they were looking for or hoping for with their first ever Walmart Saturday showdown. And then on Sunday for Sunday Night Soccer, that LA Galaxy versus New York City FC game was, I hate to call a soccer game boring because we're trying to get more people into it and say it's not boring. But that game in particular was a snooze fest for most of it. Christian, do you agree with me at all? Maybe this is me just being a little hater. But I mean, they're 2 big games this week and we're not big for them.
I think that they showcased a 75,000 seat stadium filled up. Whether the game, and to be honest with you, I think I would feel the same way had Miami won 3-0. I think LAFC winning 3-0 was big for the sport because a lot of people came in thinking Miami's just going to do whatever they want with whoever they want. And I think LAFC coming in and showing like, no, you're not. Like, you're not. This is not going to be an easy win for you. Was huge. But I do kind of want to touch on, I think coming this week, the Walmart Showdown is Salt Lake and Seattle, which theoretically on paper looks like a good game, but Salt Lake's got to get some players back for that to really be interesting. But you got your boy Rothrock in it.
Yeah. So I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, the Saturday Showdown this weekend doesn't look much better on paper. It looks like it could be a route for Seattle, but obviously with these games that they pick to be like the marquee matchups of the weekend, you hope to have a game that really entices fans to be like, wow, I got to see whatever match they have going on next week. So the nationally televised games this week on Fox were Cincinnati and Atlanta, which was kind of just a game Cincinnati dominated, but then Seattle and Colorado, which was a game that Seattle dominated. So there were just a lot of games this weekend that one side looked much stronger than the other side. Mm-hmm. But those are our winners and losers of the weekend. Some good ones there. That's something that we hope to do every single week as we do our recap. It kind of helps us bounce around the league, touch on those huge headlines. So those were our first winners and losers. I want to remind you guys before we go on to our final segment of this episode, if you're enjoying this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We really do appreciate all the support, and share this with your other MLS loving friends. Christian, for this next segment, we're going to get into some overreactions. I know it's just week 1, but and we're going to go through some fun scenarios here. This is going to be really fun because Christian has no idea what mine are. So I'm going to go first here. And I know it's just week 1, but Son will win MLS MVP easily. I think there's going to be no contest this year. Every build-up play that LAFC had against Miami and in the CONCACAF Champions Cup involves Son on that left-hand side. He is involved in almost every goal. He looks like, outside of Messi, by far the best player in this league, and he's my pick to win MVP this season. I don't think it's going to be close. I know that's crazy to say. That's what this whole segment is about. Yes, you could argue that Nashville, the players from Nashville have something to say about that. Lionel Messi's going to have something to say about that. But I think Messi's going to be too focused on the World Cup. I think Nashville is too much of a unit. And I think Son, honestly, the player he should worry about the most is Bawanga. They asked him before the game when they were interviewing him, between you and Bawanga, who's going to win Golden Boot? He said, Bawanga can have it. I don't care about that whatsoever. Literally word for word, pretty much what he said. But I think Son is going to end up winning a different piece of hardware this season, and that is the MLS MVP trophy. Christian, is this too much of an overreaction?
I mean, it's funny because I didn't know about this, and earlier when we were talking about the game, I literally said Son is going to be in the MVP conversation. So I don't think it's that crazy.
All right, Christian, let's go ahead on to your first one. I know it's just week 1, but...
All right, I know it's just week 1, but is Nashville SC about to break the single season scoring record? I think this team looks incredibly dangerous, and I don't know who's going to stop them or who's going to hold them from scoring 3-4 goals a week if they want to. I think, they probably could have scored more this week as well. I think this team's going to go and break the record.
Do you know what the record is, Christian?
I think it was, off the top of my head, 84.
So close. It's 85.
Okay.
The MLS single season record for team goals is 85, jointly held by the 2019 LAFC and the 1998 LA Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're going for 86.
85. They are at 5 right now. So if you do the math,
they're at 4.
Oh, 4. Sorry, excuse me. 4. So if you do the math, just for fun, 4 times 34. Just how many games they play in MLS. That puts you at I believe it's 34, or is it 36? That puts you on pace for 136 goals. Now, they're not going to score 4 goals every week, or maybe they are. Who knows? But, right now they are well on pace. I love this, Christian, because I think Nashville SC still is not being talked about enough as a huge contender in this league. I think everyone's looking at LAFC and Miami, and they're kind of sleeping on Nashville SC here. So I love this one. All right, my final, I know it's just week 1, but of the week is, I know it's just week 1, but Portland will be a top 4 team in the West. Here's a team we have not talked about at all, who got a huge win at home at Providence Park against Columbus Crew. They ended up winning that one 3-2, excuse me. And look, Anthony looks fantastic. Felipe Mora up top is always a reliable goal-scoring threat. Diego Chara in another season for Portland. You were right, Christian, in our team assessment. He is wearing the captain's armband. He is starting for them, and he looked absolutely clinical in that midfield against Columbus. And sure, they barely squeaked out a win against the Crew, but I think most people, Fabian included, expected the Crew to go in and handle business against a Portland side who has kind of been mid to lower in the Western Conference over the past couple of seasons. Right now, they are 5th in the West after week 1. I think this is going to be a sneaky team this season. And if they are able to go out this summer and bring in one European star, don't be shocked if they make even more noise in the West. But I think this is going to be a sneaky team all year. I have kind of high hopes for Portland. And so that's my bold take, is they're going to be a top 4 team in the West.
So they're currently 6th in the West. Let me give you 6 teams here, and you give me the 3 they're better than. Okay.
Okay.
San Diego, LAFC, let's go Houston. Let's go Seattle. Let's go Vancouver. And we'll go San Jose because they're in third right now. So give me 3 teams there. They would be better than at the end of the season.
San Jose, Houston, and them are close. That's going to be the one that it's going to go 4th or 5th. I'm very confident they're better than San Jose, even without Timo Werner right now. And I'm going to say Vancouver. I have not been impressed with Vancouver. They've got a lot going on with the club right now. They barely made it past an RSL team. Sure, I mean, it's week 1. Like, they let them get their feet under them. But I wouldn't be shocked if Vancouver, even if they do end up being title contenders, if they fall to 5th or 6th in the West, I could see Seattle getting mixed up with, CONCACAF Champions Cup and all these other leagues that they've got going on, and maybe having a sluggish summer. Portland, I don't think they have a lot of players who are going to be focusing on World Cup play. So that's why I think that they could kind of squeak into the top 4 here.
Yeah, I mean, every year we see a team that completely surprises, so they could be it.
And this is kind of like our Charles Barkley guarantee. So we'll have to come back. Hold
on. I'm not guaranteeing anything.
I'm not either. But, I mean, if Portland ends up finishing in the top 4 in the West, I'm definitely going to be pulling up receipts. All right, Christian, what's your last one of this week?
I know it's just week 1. But is Dane St. Clair playing his way out of the World Cup roster?
Crazy, Christian.
Here's the thing. When he made the move to Miami, everyone said this is going to do nothing but put him on a pedestal. Well, let's put him on a pedestal, and he's conceded 3 goals right off the bat, and the second biggest attendance we've had in the league. Maybe the lights are too bright in Miami, and if that is the case, then Maxime Crepeau could be between the sticks for Canada.
You really think Maxime Crepeau has a chance to pass Dane St. Clair? I mean, I feel like Dane St. Clair is looked at as like the god in goal, the golden goalkeeper for the Canadian national team. So it would be insane to see at the last moment they go, you know what, we're going with Maxime Crepeau.
I mean, that's the whole point of the segment, is it not?
It is. I like it. I like where your head's at. I mean, if Miami comes out, continues to sputter, and goals keep leaking in the back with the team that we expect to dominate, it's not going to look good. Even if it's not Dane St. Clair's fault, it's not going to look good on St. Clair.
At the end of the day, Canada knows they are a host country and they need to put on a show. And if they can't keep goals out of the net, then they're not going to put on a show.
That does it for our hot takes after week 1. We do have one more thing to show you guys before we kind of wrap up here, because I know Christian is eager to get into bragging already. So we're going to update our pick'em scores. And each week, if you want to see us make our predictions and pick who we think is going to win each game, you got to check out our match day preview on Thursdays. But here it is, Christian. I know you're wanting to get to it. Pick'em standings after week 1. Fabian made the predictions for Christian. And look at that. You are 3 points, just 3 points over me after week 1. I'll take it.
That's what I say. I don't have much to brag about. I didn't make the predictions, but I'll take it. I mean, I'll take the head start going into the season. So,
yeah, Fabian did well for you. Also want to touch base on, we'll give you some fantasy advice on our show on Thursday. But these are our kick-based fantasy league standings. You can still join our fantasy league. It's not too late. You're starting a little under the 8 ball, but if you want to join the league, you can try to catch up to us. Congratulations to Hakuna Makana for being in the lead right now with 1,878 points. Christian, very respectable second place with you're only 327 points back. And then you go another 300 points back. You find me in 4th place. So right now we're doing okay.
If Acuna Macana is listening, I want to see what his roster looked like, because 1,878 points is pretty good.
Yeah, that's insane. Go ahead and send that in, or maybe don't. He doesn't want to give up his techniques, his early techniques. That does it for our recap show here. Christian, final comments about this opening weekend for Major League Soccer.
I think it was a great opening week for Major League Soccer. Like I said, we had no 0-0 games, which is always the argument for people against the sport. I think we had a lot of drama, a lot of great moments, and I mean, got 30 plus more to go. So,
yeah, absolute great, entertaining MLS opening weekend. Christian and I had fun in St. Louis. Hopefully, you guys had fun at the games you went to or any watch parties you went to. Thank you for tuning in with us. If you enjoyed our podcast here, smash that like button, turn on notifications, make sure to share this podcast with all your friends as we continue to help the show grow. We're a brand new podcast, so we want to get our name out there. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating. We would greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. We do this because we love MLS. We do this because we love American soccer. And we do this because we want to bring you guys some incredible content surrounding the best soccer league in the world. So we will catch you guys Thursday on our Match Day 2 preview. We'll see you then.